Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
You're the Leaf guy. So what do you tell me about them moving into this season? Are we expecting more points, less points and a deeper run? What are we looking at for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Honestly, I think more of the same. And I think, when I say that, it's you're going to see a lot of regular season success. The core is still there. The front end is still there. They're going to score a lot of goals. Obviously the question marks are in the crease. They've reworked the crease. Jack Campbell's out. So can they get consistent goaltending? That's going to be number one. The back end was a bit of a question. Can they find another key blue liner? I think they're going to be okay. You may see a move made during the season or up towards the deadline to maybe add a piece to the back end. But they had some cap crunch issues too. So they moved around some salaries, reworked the bottom six a little bit. I think it's the same. I think what you're waiting here with the Leafs is just patience, is when can that core figure it out and get over the hump in the playoffs? Can this be the year? We ask it every year with this team, and eventually they're either going to make it or you're going to have to blow up the core. So they're kind of ride or die with this group.
Well, and that's very similar to what producer Clark says. He writes, if the goalies perform well, the Leafs should be just as good in the regular season as last season. Will they be better in the playoffs? Hard to say at this point. And, sometimes just in sports, we tend to take things for granted. The Leafs return a 100-point team, a well over 100-point team. They're in the mix. There's a lot of teams that can't say that.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Who is, based on the NFL Network's Top 100 poll, the top player in the NFL that you would vote for? We use their top three: Tom Brady, Aaron Donald, Aaron Rodgers, or other. Running away with it, Tom Edward Brady. Tom still didn't want to talk about the fact that he was away from training camp for 11 days. There is no truth to the rumor that he took 11 days off to appear on The Masked Singer. There's no truth to that.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It is. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. Another beautiful day here in paradise. It's episode number 831 of your favorite daytime sports and entertainment talk show. We normally just dabble in sports, but we got into entertainment yesterday, and things really started popping there with our movie reviews. Coming up on the program today, you're really going to enjoy it. And if you don't, I know I will, no matter what. Bruce Dowbiggin's going to be with us. Where do I start? Famed NHL author, used to have his own show on the CBC. I watched it, The Doughboy. Bruce Dowbiggin, regular contributor on Fan 960 Sports Radio in Calgary. Bruce Dowbiggin with us in hour one to talk about his latest book, Inexact Science. It's about NHL drafting and some of the most puzzling NHL drafts from years gone by. I'm very excited to talk to him about that. And in hour two, a man of many talents, a man that can talk about many things, Farhan Lalji from TSN Vancouver will be joining us. We're down here in South Florida. He's all the way up there on the West Coast in Vancouver. There's a long way between us, but we've got a long list of things to talk about as we welcome in the Moose, Darren Moose DuPont. We have a lot of things to talk about as well. I'll just say this, Moose, you're in Lake Country. Looked like you had a nice round yesterday. How is the golf course looking there in your area?
Fantastic. Lots of rain came through over the weekend, so it was a little wet, but no, the golf course was great. Yesterday was an awesome day.
Good to hear. I was talking to my brother over there, about how hot and sunny it is in Sask and how the crops are. And he said, no worries for us, because we got farmland. He goes, they're real happy, the farmers here. And I said, I love it. Let's keep that rolling. And speaking of, Jordan, can you please hit the quick six show horn, please, and thank you. It's an interesting quick six today. Kind of throw a couple curveballs at you, but I'm starting with Blue Jays baseball. Danny Jansen drilled a walk-off single to left field in the 11th inning to end the Toronto Blue Jays 3-game losing streak with a 5-4 comeback victory over the Cubs Monday night at Rogers Center. The Blue Jays won for only the third time in their last 10 home games, this time before 26,473 fans. Down 4-0, the Blue Jays came back. It began in the 7th inning when Jansen smacked a 3-run homer to left field. The teams will play again Tuesday, of course. What I will say, two things on that, Moose. Number one, I'm really missing watching my Blue Jays baseball, something Rogers has done. They've figured out a way to block the VPN and therefore block me. I'm missing my Blue Jays baseball, number one. And number two, I think it's come with my age, which I see a lot of people Googling Rod Pedersen age. Isn't that funny? I've been around the block, a lot of trips around the sun. I can't wait to see how this all plays out. I'm tired of the day in and day out drama of the Major League Baseball season for the Blue Jays. Can we just get to the postseason? They hold the final wild card spot, 2-game lead. I think that they're going to hold on to it and get into the postseason, but I can't wait. I'm in a glass case of emotion. Just, can we get to the playoffs already? I think that's an age thing. Are you the same? Are you enjoying the day in, day out rigors of following the Blue Jays?
Well, it is stressful, and they needed that win last night, man, really, really badly, especially when they went down to come back like that to show themselves that they can do it. But you're right, because they go on these slides where they lose 3 or 4 in a row, or they lose 5 of 6, but then they come back and win 8 of 9. So you just wonder if those slides are going to catch up with them eventually. But yeah, I'm with you. I kind of want just to know if they're going to get in, but the ride's pretty fun too.
Enjoy the ride, as we often say. Something I forgot to say off the top. Stop the presses. I'm doing this show not under protest, but under duress. I'm sick. And as you know, yesterday I wasn't feeling top of the world. It's just the run-of-the-mill cold/flu, but they suck. And trust me, it's not COVID. I've had that twice. This ain't it. But some of the viewers actually wrote me yesterday and said, you seemed a little off. And I hope you don't get this, Darren. I don't know. Can I ask if you've had COVID yet? I believe you've entered the COVID club. Are you not in the COVID club? You have. Yeah, it's not that. But you certain brain fog. And yeah, yesterday I referred to Chris Streveler as a Super Bowl winning quarterback, meant to say Grey Cup winning quarterback. And people, they at least... I've been on the air long enough and our viewers know long enough that I know the difference between the Super Bowl and the Grey Cup. Thanks. But I didn't want to have you carry the mail all by yourself. And I come from the school of, if he's breathing, he's playing. You know what I mean? That's just where I come from. So anyways, if I feel a little or seem a little off, which some viewers detected, and I appreciate you for saying that and checking in, I'm fine. But that's the deal. And the other thing, by the way, some people were very offended when I said that I auditioned for a role in South Florida in the NFL, and I was told I was too Canadian. People were, and I didn't get it, and people were offended by that. And I'm like, don't be offended by that. The Dolphins I'm not. The Dolphins have more than enough coverage and saturation. Believe me, they do. The Florida Panthers would never say, this guy's too Canadian. They would never say that. As a matter of fact, Randy Moeller last year in the press box, the television color commentator who's from Red Deer, said, we can't have enough Western Canadian guys like you around here. Make yourself at home. So training camp opening up in a couple of weeks here, and we'll be just fine being Canadian here in South Florida. There's quite a few of us. Now, to the NHL vein as we move along, it dawned on me this morning. I may be sick, but I still have very strong intuition. Do you remember a year ago, Moose? I came out with the standing predictions of all 4 NHL divisions, and they were very hotly contested. And I think part of the reason why I got so much play then, and this morning I tweeted my Pacific Division prediction is getting a lot of play now, is because everybody else is still asleep from what I can see. Elliot Friedman's still growing a beard at the lake, and Darren Dreger's still doing his. I mean, I can't get TSN either because they blocked me, but I don't see a lot of guys coming out with their predictions yet. So we kind of have center stage to ourselves. And I'm starting with the Pacific Division, which is the division that, sorry to say, we love the most. And I'll just preface it by saying last year's predictions for me wasn't bad. I had Vegas number 1, so that was bad. They missed the playoffs. That's on them. I had Anaheim making the playoffs until about Christmas. They were in a spot, and for whatever reason, they fell off. I think just youth. But other than that, I was right on. And so here's what I have for this year, and I want yours too. And the viewers, please write in with your Pacific Division predictions too. I've got the Edmonton Oilers number 1, the Calgary Flames number 2. And don't start with the fact that the Flames are better. The Oilers bitch slapped them in the playoffs in 5 games. I know there's been a lot of changes on the roster with the Flames, but until that changes, you were still bitch slapped by the Oilers. You have to accept that you're going to go into the year behind the Edmonton Oilers in prediction polls. Not just mine, but probably everybody's. Number 3, the LA Kings. Took the Oilers to 7 last year in round 1, and they were my surprise team to make it. Number 4, the Anaheim Ducks. I believe the Ducks have arrived. This is the playoff cutoff line right here. So then number 5, the Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah, they're going to miss again, I think.
How about that?
Not looking good in Vegas. And then the Vancouver Canucks. Sorry, Vancouver. And then San Jose Sharks, then Seattle Kraken. Those are mine. What are yours? And I know I just sprung it on you this morning. Have you been able to spend much time thinking about it?
I have, and really, when I saw yours early this morning, and even before we chatted in our morning meeting, you know, the one team that jumps off the page as the biggest wild card outside of Vegas, because I think I'm with you with their goaltending question marks and just some of the question marks. I think it'll be tough for them to make the playoffs. But for me, the question mark wild card's the Vancouver Canucks. You know, they have some skill with Pedersen, the JT Miller situation. You know, what's that going to look like throughout the season with Hughes on the back end? And if they can get good goaltending from Demko in that group and goal, they're a team that could surprise people and I'm a playoff team and maybe leapfrog in Anaheim or in LA, but it'll be pretty tough. I think Edmonton, Calgary are solidified 1-2, but Vancouver for me is the one interesting question mark. I'm not sure how to read them yet.
Well, nobody is. And I think we all agree that if there was one more month left in the regular season last year, the Canucks probably would have made it under Bruce Boudreau, but they didn't. And so, yeah, they are a bit of an X factor, but I would say that their offseason, and we're not profiling the Vancouver Canucks today, but I would say their offseason's been a little underwhelming. Their players were underwhelming last year. So they got a lot to show me that they're going to be in a playoff spot this year. I've opened up the text line here. Jeff Kozak writes in. He says, hey, Rod, heading back from Calgary, listening to you. He texts on the 902 line. Jeff, thank you. This is a longtime viewer, supporter of mine. And Darren, he moved his daughter to school at Calgary. And it reminds me of when I was 17 years of age and my mom dropped me off. We drove to Calgary and I kept my car and she drove back to Saskatchewan on the Greyhound. And my mom was very concerned, I think, leaving her little Roddy in Calgary downtown. And for good reason. But Mom, we survived. And Jeff, I wish your daughter all the best post-secondary education in Calgary. She'll love it. It's such a wonderful city. Todd in Red Deer writes in and he says, with regards to your job interview, which, by the way, it wasn't a job interview. It was basically an audition. If they reviewed your 20-plus years in broadcasting, not sure how they would be surprised. The proof is kind of in the pudding, isn't it? No, you got to understand, Todd. This is how our business works. It's so much different than any other business. They had absolutely no idea who I was. And they said, just give us a shot here. And then they came back and said, yeah, you're just a little too Canadian for us. And I'm like, okay, toodaloo, not offended. That's just me. And by the way, it's not 20-plus years. It's 30-plus years. I started in the business when I was 16. I'm currently 49. So 33 years in this business is what has given me the license, I believe, to do whatever the hell I want to do in this business. So, except for that, but I'll still be covering the Florida Panthers, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. By the way, it's Tuesday. Edo Japan. Our message from Edo Japan. From hand-rolled sushi to bento box meals made with their famous teriyaki sauce, Edo Japan's menu has something for everyone. Which, by the way, this is the thing. What's different about us here is the angle with which we bring being a Canadian show. We still have leagues or teams in the U.S. leagues, Blue Jays, Raptors, I've got a lot of friends in the National Football League. That's how our angle, that's how we're different than every other show. They will figure that out. But in the meantime, I ain't changing. And they understand that. Point 3, because there's not enough hockey coverage down here at all. That's what they're clamoring for. Point 3, we're going to profile today the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's an interesting story. This is the email that came from the National Hockey League today. I've whittled it down to these key lines, Darren. Change could have defined the Pittsburgh Penguins this season. Instead, they'll stick with what they know. Forwards of Jenny Malkin and Brian Rust and defenseman Chris Letang could have left in free agency, but a sizable shakeup was avoided in favor of keeping the core of Crosby, Malkin, and Letang intact with the hopes of competing for at least one more Stanley Cup. Those three could be entering the latter stage of their primes. Crosby, at the age of 35, will play his 18th NHL season. Malkin, at age 36, and Letang, 35, are playing their 17th season. Forwards Ricard Raquel, Kasperi Kapanen, and Danton Heinen will remain in Pittsburgh after all three signed new deals this summer. There was some change on the blue line. They traded Mike Matheson and a fourth-round pick to the Montreal Canadiens for Jeff Petrie and forward Ryan Poling. Defenseman John Marino was traded to the New Jersey Devils for defenseman Ty Smith and a third-round pick in the 2023 draft. And in goal, the most important position, number one goalie Tristan Jarry missed the first 6 games of the playoffs, if you remember, with a lower body injury, returning with 26 saves in a 4-3 overtime loss to the Rangers in Game 7. Casey DeSmith, the backup, should be ready for training camp after having core muscle surgery May 6th. I was so happy to see the Penguins come up as today's featured team because they've got so many fans in Canada and even Western Canada. And you and I have talked about this. I think it's because they've made so many long and deep playoff runs while kids were growing up and watching the Stanley Cup playoffs. They have a lot of fans in Canada, the Pittsburgh Penguins. And so what do you think about that? They're basically admitting they're old and they're just hanging on. At some point, you turn that corner where you're not a veteran team, you're an old team. Where's Pittsburgh on that scale?
Yeah, they got one foot in the old folks home, it feels like. Like they're not sure if they're in there or not in there. But you know what? Those guys are extremely talented. And you know, they're probably looking back at last year and saying, we should have got past New York. We should have. They had the opportunity there. Thought they were the better team for the most part in that series, and just didn't. And if they get past New York, who knows where they go? So there's a chance there. They can get some good supporting help. If Tristan Jarry plays well in goal, they've got a chance to contend for a Stanley Cup again. But I don't think they'll be at or near the top of the regular season standings. But with those veterans, you always have a chance come the spring.
I'm going to put in some viewer comments here. Wayne in BC says, it seems you don't like the Canucks, Rod, but I can't blame you. They didn't do enough in the offseason to make the playoffs. I'm not anti-Vancouver Canucks. They got to show me something. They haven't shown me anything for a very long time. My buddy Kevin, watching in Airdrie, Alberta, says, ooh, yeah, Canucks in third. But he's a Canucks fan. I can look at this somewhat subjectively. Shoot, I'm a Golden Knights fan, and I said they're going to miss the playoffs, which, incidentally, our poll question today for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center is, who will win the Pacific Division? And I'm talking about finishing first. Who will win the pennant? And we just went with the 3 Canadian teams, Oilers, Canucks, or Flames. Obviously, if I had my druthers, I'd have the Kings and Ducks in that. But we only have room for 4 spots in the poll. And running away with it on YouTube, the last I saw was the Edmonton Oilers. Running away with it on Twitter was the Calgary Flames. So that will be fun to debate throughout the program. We're only halfway through the Quick 6 show topics, and we'll be back with the final 3 in a moment. Dale Berezook's watching in Winnipeg. He says, good morning, all. Great show. Jack, that's his son, and I bought another one, Jeep Life. He says, feel better. Congratulations, Dale. That's bell ringing worthy. I've got 2, and I'd love to add to my collection. There's 2 kinds of people, Moose, on this earth. Those that have a Jeep and those that want a Jeep. We'll be back. You are watching the RP Show on the Game Plus television network and YouTube Live.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Blefusco's army is at the city walls! The Man Mountain will return to solve all our gigantic problems. Only the great Gulliver can handle them.
It happened! The real Gulliver is back! The giant is in the city! He is right in the square!
Wow. I've never had such a welcome.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of fun. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM certified pre-owned trucks. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG. Always delivering the best fan experience. Find us at ddgregina.com.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
RP Show continues. Glad to have you aboard on this Tuesday as we're going to switch our attention to football here in a second. I see that it's really ignited a fire between Flames and Oilers fans in the comments section. That should not surprise anybody as we bring the Moose back in from Lake Country. Here's, we're going to get to the NFL news too. Overall, we're just going to talk about what you and I want to talk about, and then everybody can filter in after that. And I'll tell you why. We got the Jimmy Garoppolo news coming up. I'm not big on wasting time, and I think that also has to do with my age. So all summer long, we've been seeing the vacillations, as Bob Hughes used to say, the Hall of Fame Leader Post columnist, about Jimmy Garoppolo's future with the 49ers and where he may go and will he may move his no-trade clause and why are the 49ers moving on? And then we find out overnight that the 49ers and Jimmy G have reworked his contract. He's not going anywhere. I'm sitting there going, all these hours and hours and hours and days upon days of speculation where he may go, and in the end he's not going anywhere. Does that not feel like a gigantic waste of time to you? But, who's better, Flames or Oilers, going into the regular season is kind of the same thing. It doesn't matter what anybody says because they'll prove it on the ice, but people can't get enough talking about it. Fair?
Oh, it's absolutely fair. Yeah, they can't get enough talking about it. And speculating, and that's what keeps them, moving and anticipating what's going to happen throughout the season. I know it's a time and it's a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeah. Well, so we move into the football thing here, and I see that David from Winnipeg has written in, and I appreciate his comment here, but I'm not, as the bracelet says, I'm one day at a time here. He's talking about this weekend's CFL games. David in Winnipeg says, CFL playoff scenario this week, Bombers can clinch a playoff spot with a win over Sask, or if they lose and Edmonton, Ottawa, Hamilton lose. Listen. And he does a clapping emoji. You think Mike O'Shea is taking the boys out for lunch if they clinch a playoff berth? He'd kick their ass if they didn't. The Bombers are going to be in the playoff. Who cares about clinching scenarios? Clearly you do, David, and I know it's very important for every team. And there are bonuses that get handed out and everything. It's important within the locker room, sure. It's not important to me because we know who's, especially at Labor Day, if we know who's close to clinching, they're going to be in the playoffs no matter what. He's got a half a season to go. The interesting part to me, and now we got them all stirred up here on the hockey. You folks just keep chatting in the chat. Because we've moved on here to the CFL. I'm wondering if you've read into anything or heard anything more about Gary Stern walking away as owner of the Montreal Alouettes, because frankly, this does not happen very often. And if you look at the column at rodpeterson.com right now, second column running from the top, it's Mike Stackhouse's, and he gets into Gary Stern leaving the Owls, and did he get tired of losing money, which is quite frankly what everybody's saying. And somebody wrote into the website, guy by the name of Alex. I'm not going to give you his last name. But he basically said, don't talk about Gary Stern unless you know what you're talking about. And while I appreciate that, to Mike, we don't know. And unless you want to come out and tell us, it's a little like Tom Brady. He is entitled to his privacy and why he walked away for 11 days from training camp. They're still talking about it today on ESPN's Get Up, and it's kind of interesting to see them all tiptoe around it. They don't even speculate on what's going on with Tom. They're like, we respect him. Tom's earned the right. Doesn't mean people aren't going to speculate, though, why you were gone. If we want the privacy as public people and don't want people to know certain things, we have to be okay with the speculation. And that goes along with the Alouettes, and that goes along with the Gary Stern family and the Sid Spiegel situation. So I haven't really heard anything. The whole thing just looks weird. I know how it looks. And I don't think Randy Ambrosie wants to go looking for another owner. My God, it took him a year and a half last time or longer. Farhan may have some news on that in the second hour, but how do you feel about speculation on Gary Stern walking away from the Montreal Alouettes?
Yeah, and we followed the insiders yesterday, whether that be, Donker, Naylor, Farhan, and, I think it was Naylor talking about the league putting together a list of investment bankers and trying to put a list of potential owners on the table and have that ready to go for, expansion, but also if ownership comes up and is available, like the Montreal Alouettes. So they're looking ahead to that. But again, the speculation is still going to run rampant until we hear. And at some point, we've got to hear something from Gary Stern or from the Alouettes as an organization or from the league about this situation, because it just happened in the middle of the night. And it's so odd, the timing of it and just the way everything went down, to shut your Twitter account down, to have just pull the plug after you were going about business as usual, even throughout the weekend, and tweeting and, hanging out with Pinball, as he said on Twitter, and things like that, and having a great time, and then boom, done. So something happened. We just don't know what, and we'll continue to wonder what until we know.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Gary Stern. Again, nice enough to come on this show, seems like a really nice guy. Clearly didn't have any idea what he was getting into, and we talked about that at length yesterday. It looks to me like he ran away, and that's unfortunate. It's funny, and I'll say it now, people think that I ran away from Saskatchewan to Florida, and as my advisors have said down here, and I'll never forget being across the couch from Lisa, one of my advisors, she's like, you're not running away. You're here every day. You're in front of the camera every day. Your phone's on. You're open to phone calls, right? I'm like, absolutely. If anybody wants to talk why I'm in South Florida, give me a call. Is Gary Stern answering questions about why He's not the owner of the Alouettes anymore. Again, it's his business. I'm done speculating on it. But the family and the Alouettes the Owls will be used to this, but I don't think the Stern family will. I've had friends that have bought teams in the past for fear of graphic nature here. Guys like, I'm not sure as hell not going to name him, but he goes, I have slit throats and stepped on heads to get to the top in the business world, and nobody knew. I buy a team, and every time I take a dump, it's on the front page of the newspaper.
How about that?
What did you think was going... What? They get into this, and they have no idea what they're getting into.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. It's
yeah. Sorry to be so
sports,
graphic.
right? No, it's sports, and that's that comes with the territory, and you can't just pack up and leave now without everybody wondering what happened. And again, we're going to wait, and we'll always wonder until we're told. So that day will come eventually.
Jeff Kibilis in Winnipeg watching. He says, everyone is all CFL Flames and Oilers up in here. I'm excited about my Georgia Bulldogs kicking off this weekend against Gulp, Oregon. That's awesome for you, Jeff, but we're going to stay on the Flames Oilers CFL talk because that's what we do. Jason in Red Deer, who incidentally is a Flames fan, says until the Oilers actually go all the way, they can keep the great on paper status. So, yeah, we've lit a fire between Oilers and Flames fans, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. Jason also says, a friend of mine who works at McMahon Stadium has heard rumblings that Bo Levi Mitchell may have a minor but inconveniencing injury sustained in the game against Toronto. Well, I still don't think that Bo would have come out with a statement that he did about how humbling it was to be sat down if he wasn't playing because of injury. So, not saying you're wrong. Tacona in Winnipeg says, breaking news, Rod, CFL trade deadline is October 5th. We figured that out yesterday, but thank you, Tacona. Day late, dollar short on that.
How about that?
I'm going to move on. Got that out of the way. Bring the thrill of the track to your fingertips with Woodbine's Dark Horse Bets app. Its AI-powered insights and strategies help you make smarter bets. Straight out of the gate, feel the excitement of live-streamed horse races wherever you go. Download the app for free. PlayDarkhorse.com. Available for Android and Apple devices. Point 5, after months of inaction following attempts to trade one-time franchise quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, the San Francisco 49ers and the veteran have agreed to a restructured deal. Garoppolo, who was due to earn $26 million this season, will now earn $6.5 million. However, with incentives, his new deal could get him up to $16 million based on playing time. Now the 49ers can move forward with second-year pro Trey Lance as their starter and Jimmy G as their backup. That's really all I have to say about that, other than Stephen A. saying this morning on First Take, this is highly embarrassing for Jimmy G to have to take that much of a pay cut. I don't understand why. He's taken them to a Super Bowl. He took him to a conference championship in round 2 last year before they lost to the Rams. There's no shame there. I still don't understand what they don't see in Jimmy G. You want to take a swing of that? I don't see what they don't see in Jimmy G. You?
I know, but sometimes if you got your eyes on the guy behind him and you can't stop looking at the other guy, you got to play the guy you want, right? And if Jimmy G isn't your guy, he's not your guy. And you know what? I'm sure there's a lot of teams in the NFL that would love to have Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback right now. And, I know the Atlanta Falcons would be one of them, right, at the front of the line looking for a quarterback. How about the Houston Texans? Or, hey, the Seattle Seahawks would love Jimmy Garoppolo, but you know what? He'll be the number 2 guy in San Fran.
If they've got cap room, and that's the thing, is on the quarterback vein, look at Chris Streveler. And this is a humbling industry. Sports, and to a certain extent, media. And look at Streveler. Has the best NFL preseason ever, as Jets coach Robert Saleh said. I always get to say it wrong, but I think I got it right now. Robert Saleh said, greatest NFL preseason ever. You're cut. And I was actually very grateful that Zig Fracassi straightened it out yesterday. He's like, it's different now, Rod. The preseason than it ever used to be because of salary cap. The money's allotted. The preseason, I don't even know why they have it anymore. Strevler was nothing more than a camp body, fourth-string guy, and now he's got to sit by the phone and hope to get a call from another NFL team. And I think in the case of Jimmy G, nobody wanted to take on his $26 million contract because the last I checked, Chris Strevler wasn't making $26 million a year. By the way, what's on at the movies this week with Landmark Cinemas? Beast in theaters now. No, it's not the Producer Clark story. Idris Elba stars in a pulse-pounding new thriller about a father and his two teenage daughters who find themselves hunted by a massive rogue lion intent on proving that the savannah has but one apex predator. Text movies now. Movies to 902-518-3033 to be entered to win tickets and treats at Landmark Cinemas. Winners picked every week to go to the movies. And last point, 6, Canada didn't play Monday at the Women's World Hockey Championship in Denmark as they rested for Tuesday's final round-robin game against the rival United States. Both teams, are 3-0, with the U.S. getting to that mark with a 9-0 rout of Switzerland on Monday. By the way, I do have a 6B point. The Brandon Wheat Kings naming Marty Murray as their general manager yesterday. There was some speculation that it might be Mike Babcock, and here's how that came out. Some people with the Wheat Kings told people, yeah, we've hit a home run with our general manager. That led people to believe that it was going to be Mike Babcock, and it's Marty Murray, the former Wheat Kings great, who last I saw was running a junior A team in Minot, North Dakota. So I just think that the Wheat Kings definition of a home run is a little different than the rest of ours, but Marty will do a great job. Moose, I'll see you in hour 2.
You bet. See you then.
Bruce Dowbiggin, the Doughboy, joins us next, and I can't wait. You're watching the RP Show on the Game Plus television network. We're also live streaming on YouTube, and you can always catch the podcast wherever the best podcasts are found, including Amazon, Google, Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep.
A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM-certified pre-owned trucks. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big, and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Blafusco's army is at the city walls!
The Man Mountain will return to solve all our gigantic problems. Only the great Gulliver can handle them.
It happened! The real Gulliver is back! The giant is in the city! He is right in the square!
Wow. I've never had such a welcome.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Talking hockey from South Florida. By the way, Lyle's watching on Game Plus television in Toronto. Lyle writes in, he says, I'm not sure how the Calgary Flames could be in the top spot conversation for our next guest, Bruce Dowbiggin. I made my Pacific Division predictions for the NHL this year. I got the Oilers 1, Flames 2. Lyle in Toronto says Edmonton first, LA, Anaheim, Calgary. Missing the playoffs, Vancouver, Vegas, San Jose, Seattle. Always a fun discussion. As, by the way, our drafts. And let's bring him in, the Doughboy, Bruce Dowbiggin. I'm looking at the cover here. Hey, Bruce, good to see you, buddy.
It's been a while.
It's been far too long. In exact science, the 6 most compelling draft years in NHL history. I'm not sure if you know or not, my dad was a scout in the NHL with Dallas for 26 seasons, so this is right down my alley. What made you want to write this book about the inexact science that is NHL drafting?
Well, 2 things. I think this is my 10th book, and I've written about drafts in one shape or other in about half of those books. So I sort of developed a whole bunch of information and an interest in the drafts from doing those. And the second part was my son, who now works at Stats Center for TSN, who's a Rain Man about all of these things. He and I wanted to work on a project together, and we came upon this idea. And for the great part, Roddy, is I didn't have to do the research. He was the research guy. I was the writing and polishing guy.
Well, as you know, with 10 books, I've written 3. There's no easy way to write a book. Now, what are, I don't even know, I have a million things I want to ask you. What were the specific years? Without being a spoiler, were there 6 years that were particularly odd in NHL draft history?
Well, that was it. We had to decide. We had to sort of have a little meeting amongst ourselves to decide exactly which were the years. So we settled on 71, which is the Lafleur-Dion draft. Then we did 79, which, of course, is the WHA merger draft. We did 84, which was Mario. 89 was when the Red Wings, of course, made out like bandits with the European players. And 91 was Eric Lindros, refusing to go in the draft. Then finally, we did 2005. I mean, 2003 was in there. We had a couple other years we could have considered, but at a certain point, you got to say, well, let's make our list. And we did.
So would you say that you're a draft nerd? Because they're all cool. I mean, this year's Yuri Slafkovsky going number 1 in Montreal to the Habs reminded me of 1980 when Doug Wickenheiser went number 1 to the Habs over low hometown favorite Denis Savard. Like, they're all interesting, obviously.
Yeah, I've been to probably about 10 or 12 live, covering them when I was doing journalism on a daily basis. I always found them fascinating, and it's one of the best places, and you may have, if you've ever attended, it's one of the best places because everybody's there. If you're writing a book or you're doing any research, everybody and his brother is there in the league. And on the second day, when things get a little quieter, you can walk around and talk to anybody and see anything. So it's always been a time for me that I sort of cherished, meeting up with people, making new contacts, etc. And, the idea, it's funny you mentioned it too, of course, they're hoping that it isn't like Wickenheiser for the Habs. My son, who helped me write this book, big Habs fan, he's hoping very much that they don't miss on this particular shot. And it's interesting to see how many of the years we could have done the 6 least consequential drafts and had lots of good stories about the drafts that had Barry Dean and Doug Wickenheiser and all those people as the number one. But in the end, we chose these.
Bruce Dowbiggin with us and Evan Dowbiggin, the two of them putting this book together. I'll say it again. Now that we have everybody's attention, Bruce, and you know this TV game, in exact science, the 6 most compelling draft years in NHL history. I'm wondering, was there a name that continued to come up in your interviews and so forth in terms of who might be the best scout, the best this, the best that in this draft industry in the NHL?
Well, certainly, I'm presuming your dad probably told you that it was Sammy Pollock. Certainly, in the first half of the book, the drafts he impacted. One of the reasons that we had a draft was because Sam Pollock was so damned efficient with the Canadians in getting the top talent, especially out of Quebec. The idea that we went to a universal draft in 1971, that was the year Perreault was drafted, was because the Canadians were just dominating too much in signing, and the Leafs to a certain extent. They were out getting the Ontario people. And Sammy ran the league, even though Clarence Campbell was down the street in Montreal as the commissioner. Sammy ruled the roost. And of course, the famous story of that draft in 1971 was when he managed to get the first draft pick overall. They had just won the Stanley Cup, and then they had the first draft pick overall. Jean Beliveau retires, and they say, "Welcome, Guy Lafleur." And as we say in our book, we talk about in our book, Sammy had a deal for the second pick with Detroit. Detroit was going to take a bag of pucks and Terry Harper and a couple of people. And in the end, the Canadians decided, no, we're not sure about it. The Canadians could have had Marcel Dion and Guy Lafleur in the same draft.
Oh, to be honest with you, I hope you can tell by my face, I was very excited to have you on the air because this is one of my favorite topics. And for a lot of Canadians and hockey fans, it's theirs too. So my dad, who's not with us anymore, hated with a passion the Montreal Canadiens. So he never talked about Sammy Pollock. The one, when they had drafted Carey Price, my dad told people those sons of bitches will probably win a Stanley Cup with him. And they almost did. But the one name was David Conti. David Conti was a name that came up a lot in his era, New Jersey Devils, regarded as the architect of those 90s 3-time Stanley Cup. So that's what I'm saying. Was there any behind-the-scenes names that people wouldn't know that you became familiar with through putting this book together?
Well, certainly the guys who did the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings were the dynasty for 25 years. I grew up in Montreal, but somehow I wasn't a Habs fan. I grew up a Gordie Howe fan. I was a Red Wing fan in Montreal. So I had a bit of a challenge early on defending myself at recess all the time. Anyhow, when the Red Wings finally got themselves together in the early 90s, they were the best team in the NHL for a quarter century. And the guys behind that started with Jimmy Devellano, but then Neil Smith, of course, the GM, he was one of the guys who orchestrated a lot of the European drafts. What's his name up in Edmonton now, of course, is running things.
Ken
Holland. GM up there.
Yeah.
Ken Holland. And a guy named Christer Rockstrom. People don't necessarily know about him. He was a cab driver in Stockholm. And Neil Smith was, he'd fly over for these international events, and Rockstrom would pick him up at the airport and talk his ear off about hockey. And finally, he said, this guy knows a lot. And he ended up being their European scout, was the guy who orchestrated not only a 98 draft, but 79 draft, but all those other drafts in which they used European guys, right up through Zetterberg and Datsuk and all those kind of. So he would be a guy who you wouldn't have ever heard of.
Right, of course. And the thing is, my dad's boss for about 15 of those years was Craig Button, whom we all know when he's in Calgary. Yeah. And if you know Craig, he's way more animated off the air than on. And one time at the Grey Eagle, within the last year, he said to me, I talked about drafting and criticizing. He's like, I don't listen to anybody's criticism. Unless you've done it, don't criticize me for who I've drafted. So as you know, this is a hot button topic amongst the personnel types.
Yeah, and Craig is quoted liberally in the book. We've been friends for a long time. I covered him when he was the GM of the Flames, handed the luckless position of being the GM at that time when the ownership was in flux and there was all sorts of other stuff going on that he couldn't control. And he's a great guy. You're right. He's getting more animated on air too. But yeah, he's very animated about stuff, has his opinions. And of course, his father, we're talking about names you may not know, his father ran NHL Central Scouting for a long time. And there's an interesting story. Yeah, Jack. There's an interesting story that Eric Duhatschek, who you probably remember from his days at the Herald in Calgary and then the Globe and Mail, he told us a story, speaking of Central Scouting. He was out looking at Gary Suter, and Gary Suter was playing in university hockey at the time, and he said, who is that guy? And they said, oh, that's Gary Suter. He said, look, Central Scouting. He said, this guy's 5'9". The guy I'm looking at is 6 feet and he's 200 pounds. You watched him play, and of course it was Gary Suter who was going to be the Rookie of the Year. So the whole thing for Ian McIntyre then was, how do I keep this a secret? How do we keep this a secret that this guy who's 5'9" in the Central Scouting book is now this huge guy who's going to be a great star? How do we keep it a secret until drafted? But they did, and of course, one of the great steals of all time.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, you've sold us. Where can people get the book? I'm assuming it's available now.
You can get the book. It's on all of the Amazon, and it's on Indigo, Chapters Indigo. But you can also go to my book site, brucedowbigginbooks.ca. It's got not only that, but all the other books where you can order. If you want to get some of the back ones, you can see them behind me. The first book that I wrote, Defense Never Rests, it's one of the rare places you can find that. So anybody who wants to get it, please go out and get it. It's a great read. If you're a hockey fan, lots of good hockey stories. And at the end of each chapter, we do a bit in which we redraft that year, according to what we know 2020 hindsight, which was fun too.
Oh, wow. All right, Doughboy, you are an absolute gem. Nice to see you again. Let's do it again here as hockey gets closer.
Anytime, I'm here.
Author Bruce Dowbiggin, Inexact Science. His book is available now, as you just heard. We have a viewer takeover coming up next, a sports update. Farhan Lalji in hour 2. You're watching the RP Show on the Game Plus television network, available all across Alberta and BC on Telus Optic Cable, channel 924. Also, YouTube Live and 24-hour sports radio streaming now at rodpeterson.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM-certified pre-owned trucks. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big, and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy.
Landmark Extras Rewards members get $6.99 general admission tickets. Any movie, any showtime. August 26th to September 8th. Become an Extras member now at landmarkextras.com to get your $6.99 tickets and enjoy a more rewarding movie-going experience.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep.
A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Mornings just got better at River Cree. For a limited time, enjoy a summer sunrise breakfast for just $1.99. Choose from 2 eggs any style, a breakfast sandwich, or pancakes. Finally, a delicious reason to wake up early. $1.99 breakfast daily at Tap 25 at the River Cree.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, Always delivering the best fan experience. Find us at ddgregina.com.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
All right, RP Show continues, getting to the end of hour one. We're going to have a lot of fun in hour two when the Moose rejoins. I got some draft stories, got some good impressions coming up too. But first, let's do a sports update on this Tuesday. For our BC viewers, after being unable to hold their induction ceremony in both 2020 and 2021, the BC Football Hall of Fame is thrilled to host their class of 2022 induction ceremony Saturday, September 24th, ahead of the BC Lions game versus the Calgary Stampeders. The class of 2022 is highlighted by Dr. Bob McCormick, one of the biggest and most influential names in BC sports medicine circles, who has been a fixture with the BC Lions since 1990 and currently serves as the club's head physician. The class of players is headlined by new Westminster, BC product Doug Brown, the Canadian Football Hall of Famer, and I want to talk about Doug Brown in a minute. Since played his entire career with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and was the CFL's 01 most outstanding Canadian. Yes, but he was with the Washington Redskins. Let's not forget about that. Also being inducted in the players category are Neil Beaumont, Mark Norman, and Mike Belafontaine. Rounding out the class of 2022 is the late Frank Rigney in the media category. Some associations in football recognize the media in Halls of Fame. How about that? Jerry Mullis and Paul Short go in the builders category, the St. Thomas More Knights Grade 8 program in the team category, and the late Dr. Frank Lodato as a special award recipient. Hockey Canada's board of directors says it is supporting President and CEO Scott Smith and his executive team amid calls for leadership change at the organization. Hockey Canada interim board chair Andrea Skinner made the announcement in a statement posted on its website. The National Sport Organization is under intense scrutiny for its handling of sexual assault allegations against members of previous men's junior teams. Canada and arch-rival USA clash at the Women's World Hockey Championship today to determine first place in their pool. Defending champion Canada is riding a 5-game win streak against the Americans. This game in Herning, Denmark is the marquee matchup of today's Women's World Sched. And the Toronto Blue Jays send righty Kevin Gausman to the mound tonight against the visiting Chicago Cubs. The Cubs counter with a familiar face, former Blue Jay Marcus Stroman. Monday night, the Jays rallied from a 4-0 deficit to beat the Cubs 5-4-11, Toronto's first win in 4 outings. Sports updates for Edo, Japan. From hand-rolled sushi to bento box meals made with their famous teriyaki sauce, Edo, Japan's menu has something for everyone. I said in the warm-up that I'm doing this show not under protest, not even necessarily under duress, but under another bad freaking cold, and it's ticking me off. As you folks know, summer colds are the worst. And that's what I got. Last minute of play in hour one. We'll probably get into the CFL next hour if that's what you want. We are heading into Labor Day weekend after all. Ted in Red Deer says in today's NHL cap-controlled world, every team is one goalie injury away from missing the playoffs, in my opinion. Maybe. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, let's get Rod into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Good luck with that one, Jeff, but thank you for the idea. Good luck with that one. I think it's just we all did our jobs for a very long time. I don't think that any recognition that way is necessary, but not everybody feels that way. So CFL stuff next hour. Chris Strevler, would you sign him if you were a CFL team? This weekend's Labor Day games. And the Pacific Division predictions all coming up here in hour two on Game Plus TV.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The venue at River Cree, bringing you the best in live entertainment. One of the world's most gifted and accomplished ventriloquists, Terry Fader brings his repertoire of comedy, music, and unique impersonations to the venue at River Cree this September for one night only. Get your tickets now at rivercreeresort.com.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Landmark Extras Rewards members get $6.99 general admission tickets. Any movie, any showtime. August 26th to September 8th. Become an Extras member now at landmarkextras.com to get your $6.99 tickets and enjoy a more rewarding movie-going experience.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Who is, based on the NFL Network's Top 100 poll, the top player in the NFL that you would vote for? We used their top three: Tom Brady, Aaron Donald, Aaron Rodgers, or other. Running away with it, Tom Edward Brady. Tom still didn't want to talk about the fact that he was away from training camp for 11 days. There is no truth to the rumor that he took 11 days off to appear on The Masked Singer. There's no truth to that.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It sure is. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hour 2 of the RP Show. And, playing injured here with a cold and flu, but that's okay because I'm having so much fun. And last hour, Bruce Dowbiggin with us. I want to delve into that chat with Moose here when he rejoins us. Moose DuPont's with us from Lake Country. Coming up later on this hour, Farhan Lalji. And I feel like, Moose, you come in at the best times. In the warm-up, we pick each other's brains. But then in hour 2, we get so much stuff coming in hot. We got a lot to talk about. I'm excited, by the way. I know I say these things far too often. I don't want to jinx it, but I also want to speak it into existence. That within a week, I'm told by our COO, we'll be able to officially announce we'll be on an all-sports radio station in the USA. USA. They love the show. They find it entertaining. How about that? And I'm sure you didn't want me saying that, but I'm saying it anyways. because I have the microphone right now. And I also want to say a few things before I welcome you in on NFL Talk. They do love our NFL coverage and they love our analysts, but Jeff the Stamps fan writes in and he says, let's get Rod into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. And Darren, there are no secrets between Darren and I. Darren knows the story, and I don't think I'll be getting into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame probably ever. And I'm okay with that because I know that I've had a Hall of Fame career. I know that I deserve to be in there, so I don't need to be recognized as such. The people that run the media wing of it don't like me very much. I don't play by their rules, and I never really have, and clearly not going to change now. But I remember it was 2013, Grey Cup in Sask. I tried to get my color guy in, Carm Carturi. It was his 25th season as radio color guy. The Grey Cup was in Regina. I'm like, guys, this is the perfect time to put Carm in. And they came back to me and said, no, we don't think so. The time's not right. I'm like, if it's not right now, when the hell is it going to be? He's waited 25 years. You only got to be in there 18 in the league. If you don't put Carm in, I don't want to be in your crappy Hall of Fame. So that might have something to do with it, Moose. I'm not sure. And then, but I was doing it on behalf of another person. And then my cousin Christine in Medicine Hat has written in and she says, maybe the Saskatchewan Hall of Fame, just like your dad. My dad is not in the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame. Again, because I know him pretty well. He's not with us anymore, but he wouldn't care either. Dad's won a Stanley Cup, a Memorial Cup, and not everybody knows a little-known fact, the Turner Cup. But it was your mom, Chris, who came to me and said, here, you nominate your dad for the for the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame. And I said, why don't you do it? I'm busy. Which I was. In retrospect, I probably should have done it. But again, Dad had the career. I've had the career. We don't need the recognition. Fair? Now, on the Streveler thing, I was talking earlier. This is where we morph into the NFL stuff. We have the NFL cuts have not come down, have they? Have you been checking your phone, Clark? Have the cuts come down?
At some point today they will.
Dakota Shepley got cut. Okay. Former Saskatchewan Rough Rider, and who else is he with? The 49ers. So the cuts are starting to trickle out. I get it. I'm very much paying close attention to the Dolphins' cut down wire, as are, I would suggest, the Saskatchewan Rough Riders and a lot of CFL teams. For instance, people really want to know about this audition that I had on the weekend with the NFL in Miami. And I was told, people don't care here about Sam McGuavin. And I'm like, well, if they don't care about Sam McGuavin, a fourth-year veteran linebacker with the Dolphins, what do they care about? But we were just watching Get Up this morning, Moose, and all the talk was quarterbacks. And I covered the CFL for 20 years. What do we talk about? Bo Levi, Cody, Zach Caleros, Mike Riley, Nathan Rourke. Have you noticed? When you're covering football, that's really all anybody cares about, in the odd flashy receiver like Cooper Kupp or OBJ. But that's...
Yeah.
I kind of wonder, are you a true football fan if that's all you care about?
Yeah, I know. But that's who gets all the headlines. They've got the football in their hands. They make all the big plays. But you're right. It's the guys who score touchdowns as well. The odd defensive guy. But it always comes back to the quarterback. You know, it's like every conversation is a quarterback and then maybe a receiver and a running back, a quarterback and a big linebacker, a quarterback, right? It's always about the QBs, and it seems to be what most people care about.
And I get it. But I guess it's because I worked in the league, in the CFL and pro football for so long. There are other positions that are just as important because the quarterback can't be on the field unless the defense gets the ball back, right, and stops people. Right. You understand all that. By the way, I wanted to say this about Doug Brown, and I appreciate Oleg in Winnipeg writing in. I don't think that's his real name, but Oleg says, I saw Doug Brown, Bomber legend, at the Maple Grove Dog Park once. He's so big and has a sweet truck. I want to say something about Doug Brown. Same thing. This is what I don't miss at all about the the industry that's still there. I'm just not in it anymore. People talk so much junk about Doug Brown. And I started to believe it. I didn't know Doug Brown. I just knew him on the field, and I knew he was a tough son of a bitch to play against. I didn't like when the Riders had to play up against Doug Brown. He's 6'9", and I really only got to know him when he got on the radio on CJOB doing Color for Nickels for all those years. And he's one of those guys that would pull me aside and we would just start talking ball. And I'm like, this dude's cool. And then I would see him like in Earl's the night before the game in Regina or in Winnipeg or whatever, and we would talk, and he would always go out of his way to say hi, and he's very good on the air. And it took me after a while, to realize he is a hell of a guy, and people are just jealous of him because he looks so good, and he's such a good football player, and everything comes easily to him. Guess what, folks? God didn't create us all equal. Breaking news. God did not create us all equal. Whoever said that is full of it. So, anyways, and Jeff in Winnipeg says, hey, Britt, landlord's coming by. Do you need in? Oh. Can you wait 9 minutes? Okay, thank you. He forgot the key. Actually, Britt, come around here. Britt, come around here, please, and thank you. This door is open.
How about that?
Landlords, how about this? There he is. He does look a lot like the lawn guy, but taller. And that's
hot.
Thank you. It's all good. Look at you just sitting back and enjoying your coffee.
It's all great. I'm just, this is our natural environs, and we're sitting here. Like, there is no more real sports talk than what's going on this morning / afternoon.
No. Well,
I'm in the cabin. You're on the deck, having coffee, talking sports. The neighbors pop over, the landlord. Away we go. I love it.
Listen, here in Florida, they call this, what I'm on, a covered deck, a lanai. And if you watch the Golden Girls and really pay attention, they quite often reference the lanai. I call it the line. And some of them get it. Some of them get it. And some don't. But I don't care. I always call it the line A. So Ted in Red Deer says, awesome show. I'll say it again, as my brother has said it many times, the cowboy. What I love about your show is anything could break out at any time. And he's so right. And I might swear a little bit here, and I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm trying to. Folks, don't write a novel when you're writing in, because I can't proofread it all. Oleg, by the way, says he misses his line A. I'm just gonna throw that in there.
I got it.
Oh my goodness, good. Ryan in Tirana says, "Who is your landlord taking first in the Pacific Division, Rod?" I'll tell you something about Britt, my landlord here. He don't care about the Pacific Division, but what he does care about is the Inter-Miami MLS soccer team.
How about that?
Because he's quite often trying to get me to go to the MLS team. They play out of Fort Lauderdale, which is like 17 miles south of where I'm at. Cool little stadium there, and I believe it's called Inter-Miami. Is the $26 tickets. Wayne in BC says, what a fun morning watching the RP show. Relaxed Rod on the TV. Are you going to cut that clip for social media later? Britt?
Absolutely.
Roaming?
And I'm going to tag it. That's a Hall of Fame TV moment right there.
Hot damn.
Dale in Winnipeg says, this is why we watch. Jack is laughing his butt off. That's his son. And sooner or later, we'll get around to the sports talk. We had a little incident this morning. It's not a big one, but believe it or not, I'm not very handy. So we've had to have Britt come have a look at things. He is handy. And if I was to turn this camera, I'm not going to do it now because it's all set up here, but this gazebo in the back, we came back from Canada, and for me, a 2-month stint, this thing was absolutely destroyed, this gazebo. So we told Britt, and he's like, stop breaking stuff. It's hilarious. Such a good guy. I said I might swear a little bit.
You showed me the photos of the gazebo. That's not a man-made, breaking of the gazebo of any kind.
Just destroyed it.
Yeah.
Again, I'm sure my brother over there, it's 1:11 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain, by the way. He would understand. It's like those bins when they get caught in a tornado. You've seen them. Anybody in Saskatchewan or the prairies, when those bins tumble like soup cans across the yard? That's what this gazebo looks like. I'm like, what did we miss? Jason in Red Deer says, I love how the Rod Pedersen show went from a little show in a small bunker in Regina to a big-time show on a national sports network. I'd be chilling poolside in Florida or a cabin at the lake, too. Thank you. Enortap watching in the chat says, Rod, you appear hyped up today. Love it. No, I feel like junk, bro. But it's literally 2 hours a day work. I can handle it. John Ohm in Winnipeg writes, is this still a sports show? Yeah, because we're a couple of sports. And my cousin Chris says, you wouldn't know that you're feeling sick. I get it. I appreciate it. Probably next segment we'll get a little more serious, although we have more time here. I just want to tell one more story. Bruce Dowbiggin on the scouting. Oh, man, I want to read that book. I don't know. Well, I've said many times the draft isn't really my thing. More Hall of Fames are. Hall of Fames aren't becoming as much money anymore because I'm really realizing how political they are and how they're a bit of a joke in a lot of instances. Drafts aren't a joke. They're not a joke. It's just we don't really know who these prospects are for the most part, or at least I don't. But when it comes to scouting, many, many, many times I would sit around my dad at the kitchen table. He's been scouting for so long, he used to write his reports out in pencil and then mail them. He'd mail them to Minnesota. And which, with the time, he didn't have any other options, so what else would you do? And then it became fax. It became a fax machine, folks. Beep, 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 beep. He'd slide it in there. And I'll never forget, and again, Game Plus, if you need to have your finger on the button, I'm going to swear. Nothing real bad, but I am going to swear. My dad, I would read his reports all the time. It's how I learned the game. It's how I learned scouting. And Dad said he was sent to watch this particular player in Moose Jaw. I'm not going to tell you which player it was, but Dad checked all these boxes of what the kid had. Then it had notes. And Dad says, great player, skates well, shoots well. Teammates say he's an asshole. Send. It wasn't like 5 minutes later. The fax is coming back from Dallas by this point. There are a lot of assholes in the NHL. Can he play?
Awesome.
You get the point?
Yes.
We don't care. We don't care. So if anybody wonders about... and by the way, this is the team that went on to win the Stanley Cup in 1999. So, yeah. Jeff in Winnipeg says, next stop for the RP show, live at the Yellowstone Ranch. Wouldn't that be something?
I'd be here for it. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Everybody's getting into it. How did this get off the rails so fast today? John in Winnipeg says, Rod is in the Hall of Fame of life. Nothing else is needed, bro. See, that's what I think. And I'm glad you noticed it. The goal now is happiness, not he who collects the most toys at the end of his life wins. That guy dies very upset. One more from Oleg. He's good. He says, Evander Kane played for Moose Jaw. Just kidding.
Boom.
That's very funny. BW in Edmonton says, tear down a granary, FedEx it to Florida to replace the gazebo. There's a FedEx right on the other side of this fence, by the way. These trucks are coming and going 24/7, honking their horns. Good guys, but loud. And one more before we break in. We will get to football next segment. Robin in Prince Albert says, WHL training camps open this week. Raiders start tomorrow. Happy times. Yes. I don't know how much junior hockey will do on this. We talked about the Wheat Kings last hour, hiring Marty Murray as their general manager. So we are the show that can cover, like, literally just about every league. We don't get into the soccer leagues, of course, but NHL for sure, NFL, junior hockey, MLB. We'll talk about it all when we come back. right in the future of Chris Streveler and some of these NFL cuts. And Farhan Lalji coming up, too. You're watching the RP Show on the Game Plus television network. We're live across all 10 provinces and 31 states. Soon on All Sports Radio. We're also on YouTube Live and 24-hour sports radio, streaming now at rodpeterson.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep.
A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG. Always delivering the best fan experience. Find us at ddgregina.com.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM-certified pre-owned trucks. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big, and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Blafusco's army is at the city walls!
The Man Mountain will return to solve all our gigantic problems. Only the great Gulliver can handle them. It happened! The real Gulliver is back! The giant is in the city! He is right in the square!
Wow. I've never had such a welcome.
The venue at River Cree, bringing you the best in live entertainment. One of the world's most gifted and accomplished ventriloquists, Terry Fader brings his repertoire of comedy, music, and unique impersonations to the venue at River Cree this September for one night only. Get your tickets now at rivercreeresort.com.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
All right, we're back, and we've got plenty on the go today and plenty in store. Farhan Lalji from PSN coming up. Before we rejoin the Moose, a sports update on this Tuesday. The player they call Jano supplied some extra inning heroics on Monday night as the Toronto Blue Jays battled back from a 4-0 deficit to beat the Chicago Cubs in 11. Catcher Danny Jansen, who had a 3-run homer in the 7th and a walk-off single in the 11th, was thrilled Toronto found a way to win and snap a 3-game losing skid. Righty Kevin Gausman goes for the Jays tonight against the Cubs. Marcus Stroman, I know you're all going to be watching. Aaron Judge, meanwhile, hit his 50th home run of the year Monday night, connecting in the 8th inning for the Yankees against the surging Angels, With his parents in the stands, the California-born slugger sent a 434-foot solo drive to left center off reliever Ryan Tepera to trim New York's deficit to 1 in a 4-3 loss. Aaron Judge became one of 10 players in Major League history with multiple 50-homer seasons. This sports update for, Dark Horse Bets. It's Woodbine's easy-to-use betting app that brings the excitement of live stream horse races right to you. Its AI-powered insights and strategies help you make smarter bets right out of the gate. Download the app for free at playdarkhorse.com, available for Android and Apple devices. Dying here, Moose. Still a cough. I am sick. I know people say you don't seem like it, but I am. Ballers Rec Room also brings you this sports update. And Red Bull Canada. Red Bull gives you wings. Okay, Strevler. Does he come back to the CFL this fall? Go.
No. People keep talking about 6 games away from an NFL pension. I think that still matters a little bit. And I think he showed enough in the preseason that he could play. Here's the thing about the Jets, though. I've been thinking about this a lot. You know, at first, when Adam Schefter reported yesterday that the Jets informed him that he was going to be released, I was shocked and I was a little bit upset because you really couldn't have had a better audition than Chris Strevler had in the preseason. Now, he wasn't going against anybody's number ones. He came in late in the game. And it looked like when we saw the videos, Robert Saleh and everything else in the locker room handed him the game ball week after week. They loved this guy. He played well, this guy. But he was never going to play. He was never going to play. You know, when you look at, they've got a great young franchise, other options in front of him that they want to build their future around. So if Strevler's never going to play,
okay. We can't. Yeah, he gone. Something. Elon Musk is interfering with Darren Moose Dupont, I think, in his satellite transmission from Lake Country. But I can handle this. I can handle it with you, the viewers. This is interesting. Phyllis in Winnipeg says, take care of yourself, RP. The Barflies on YouTube says, damn Florida COVID. And not this time. I've caught it twice. Once was here. Another was in Canada. But it ain't COVID this time. On the Strevler thing, this is everybody wants to talk about Chris Strevler. This is where the NFL and CFL morph. And again, this is our different angle on covering the 4-down league. He's the story of the NFL, Chris Strevler. 3 comeback victories for the New York Jets. And we know that it was in the preseason, and in a way, garbage time, but 3 comeback victories are 3 comeback victories. You can't fake the stats. John in Edmonton writes in and he says, Rod, Elks fans now want quarterback Chris Strevler now that he's been released from the Jets. And that's why I ask Moose if we think Strevler will come back. Randy in Winnipeg says, for a guy who's only started 12 games as a pro, not bad. 2 years CFL paycheck, 2 years NFL paycheck, and a Grey Cup ring. Well, he left the CFL after his first contract, and correct me if I'm wrong, you football people, but that's around $80,000 to $85,000. It's not bad for 6-month work, not bad for 4 hours a day, but U.S. exchange and taxes. He played in the CFL for the opportunity that he's getting now. And if you were watching yesterday with Zig Fracassi, what I love about this show is analyzing things like this, how sports has changed. Change is good. But I was noticing, covering and following the NFL preseason here quite a bit, how many times, okay, we got Moose here now. You can jump in at any time, Moose, but how many times, you're a huge NFL fan, you're a Titans guy, I'm a Cowboys fan, becoming a little more of a Dolphins fan, but I'm like, how come the starters aren't playing in some cases in any of these games? Aaron Rodgers didn't take one snap, and he's the reigning MVP. Now, here in Miami Saturday night, I was there. The fans got their money's worth. I know I sure did. We saw the highlight of the entire NFL preseason, or maybe week 3, was the Tua to Tyreek 51-yard bomb. But point being, NFL business has changed. We put our heads together with Zig Fracassi yesterday, and Zig's like, yeah, because of the salary cap, all the money's allotted, and all Chris Strevler was a camp body, a 4th-string quarterback. Is it unfair? Yes. But why was the salary cap brought in the first place? Ta-da! Parity, and not have the same champion every year. It makes what the Patriots have done and quite frankly, Tom Brady individually just mind-boggling in a 32-team league. That in the CFL we haven't had a repeat. Well, the Bombers are a repeat champion. Before that, it had been a decade. But yet fans wanted the parity. So to do that, they had to bring in a salary cap. And now here we are. Teams are picked going into the preseason, which now people are saying, why even play preseason games? Is that an accurate question or a fair question from the fans?
It's a great question. And every team's different. For the Dolphins, you want to see if Tua and Tyreek can get on the same page. Give them a few reps in live bullets so they play. Aaron Rodgers doesn't need those reps. He's not going to play. He's getting older. Got to protect his body. And for Strevler, when he comes into play, sometimes all you want is somebody who can just play well enough so that you can see what you have around him. You need a good player to distribute the football, to move the chains so you can see what you have on an offensive line, so you can see what these backup receivers look like, your running backs. You can't just have somebody that's going to go 2 and out, 2 and out, or 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out in the NFL, right? And not get a look at what your other players can do. So Strevler, filled his job. They probably love him because he did it really well, but he was never going to be the quarterback for the New York Jets and never going to play. So there's no point in keeping him around, but he may be useful for another franchise.
It's why we love sports. Stories like this. I think everybody, what they're getting is what a kick in the junk this is for Chris Strevler. Like, you literally couldn't do anything more than what you did, and you get cut. It reminds me a lot. I have to relate a lot to my history with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but in 2012, Corey Sheets came in as a former Miami Dolphin practice roster guy. Corey Sheets to Saskatchewan. Any CFL fan would know his name. You don't need to be a Rider fan to know his name. He was the 5th or 6th string guy on the depth chart. And he's went on to be a very close friend of mine. And you weren't covering the Riders at that point, Darren. You were about 3 or 4 years after that. But Corey Sheets was wearing a pair of lime green neon shoes, cleats. He just stood out because of that. Now, he had a great camp. He had a great preseason, made the team, went on to set a Grey Cup rushing record, 197 yards in the 2013 Grey Cup. I said to Sheets years ago, why did you wear those green shoes? And he said, to stand out. Because those other 5 guys all looked the same. But I stood out with my lime green shoes. And then, of course, he backed it up. Corey Sheets, no dummy. And he's a new dad, too, by the way. What's my point? Oh, to see a guy go from 5th or 6th on the depth chart to number 1 and achieve great things. And the sucky thing here is Chris Strevler isn't going to have the opportunity to do that. Viewers are writing in saying that he's 3 games shy of a pension. 3 games, 6 games, whatever. He's not coming back to the CFL this year. Bob McCulloch is watching in Morden, Manitoba. He writes in and he says, congrats on the popularity and expansion of your show. Note, Hustler is doing a great job on Winnipeg Sports Talk as well. Signed, Bob in Morden, Manitoba. Thank you for the kind words, Bob. We converse with Hustler regularly. We see ourselves on the same team. And Andrew has the exact same outlook on life that I have. We're around the same age. We've been around the block. What's the line from Jerry Maguire? Rod Tidwell is saying to Tom Cruise, don't shoplift the pootie.
Yes.
We've been to the dance, okay? We've been to the dance. We know how it ends. We just want to have fun and make a living and do what we want to do.
Yeah.
Hustler's the same as me, same as you, same as our COO, Lee. So thank you for the kind words. Todd in Red Deer, I want to say he has a question for Farhan, so I will save that. But how about this? Our boy Mitchell Scruffy Blair from NBC Radio, breaking the big scoop yesterday that Garrett Marino got into it. He is the current bad boy of the Canadian Football League. Got into it with a staff member because he was too far down the depth chart Monday morning with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And I'm like sitting there going, my first inclination was retweeting it and saying, if it's not one thing, it's another with these guys. But I stayed out of it. But you are there in the rectangle. You are there in the NHL's Bermuda Triangle and the CFL's Heartland. Is there any talk about what Garrett Marino is doing or not doing in the CFL right now that's annoying people?
Yeah, there's a little bit. And it's not just about Garrett Marino, though. It's about the whole group. At the beginning, it was about the penalties. And then it was about, the play with Masoli. And now it's not, there's just some tension going on that with that group. And then it was Cody. And there was, is he on the same page as the receivers and with Jason Moss? And now Garrett Marino upset with coaches, apparently. It's just, there's something there where there's no continuity and something's missing. And it's very fragile. We talked about fragility, on this show, and it feels like a fragile group right now that there's some infighting maybe potentially happening or reports of it. And this is supposed to be a group gearing up to play at a Grey Cup at home. And we've got a little bit of this and not everybody on the same page. So it's a tough spot right now.
Yeah. Interesting take. We'll see whether they pull it out or not. Phyllis in Winnipeg says, Rod was on Winnipeg Sports Talk the other day when Bell crashed. The interview never finished. We got to bring Rod back to Winnipeg Sports Talk for the rest of the story. My gosh, I can't even remember what we were talking about that day. Tacona in Winnipeg says, is it Marino or Marano? From Enor Tap. Enor Tap says, show me the money. Jeff in Winnipeg says, yes, I'm here for the Jerry Maguire quotes. Oh, I got a million of them. I was driving down, and you probably saw my Instagram story, Dan Marino Way on the weekend. I had to stop and take a photo, of course. And I was like, it's as lovely as it sounds with all those palm trees. I'm bringing up Dan Marino because I'm pretty sure he's no relation to Garrett Marino. And one thing before I let you go, and Farhan could weigh in on this because he's covered the NFL. Wayne in BC says the NFL has always been unfair. There's plenty of politics involved making a roster spot in the NFL. Just so you know, there's politics on a Bantam hockey team, not just the National Football League. But the one thing that we realized covering the Super Bowl last year for the first time in LA, and we'll be there in Arizona this year, everybody in the NFL is happy. Everybody's happy. That is the difference. I feel like there's so much money, and even the biggest idiot donkey owners couldn't screw it up because there's so much money that while I'm sure people are afraid for their jobs and the politics, they're all just so happy and grateful to be in the NFL. Literally, man, you were there when the Bengals grabbed at me, threw the credentials around my neck. They're like, get in here. We're having a news conference. Winnipeg Jets did the exact same thing. You were there when they were unveiling Dale Howard Chuck Wade. So I don't know what it is about certain leagues, but the NFL, there's politics, but it's just everybody's happy. And that ain't the case in other leagues. Moose, I'll see you for overtime, okay?
See you then.
If you got questions for Farhan Lalji of TSN, he's joining us next. You're watching the RP Show on the Game Plus television network. We're also live streaming on YouTube, and you can always catch the podcast wherever the best podcasts are found, including Amazon, Google, Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Mornings just got better at River Cree. For a limited time, enjoy a summer sunrise breakfast for just $1.99. Choose from 2 eggs any style, a breakfast sandwich, or pancakes. Finally, a delicious reason to wake up early. $1.99 breakfast daily at Tap 25 at the River Cree.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Big time.
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep.
A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
Landmark Extras Rewards members get $6.99 general admission tickets. Any movie, any showtime. August 26th to September 8th. Become an Extras member now at landmarkextras.com to get your $6.99 tickets and enjoy a more rewarding movie-going experience.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
We're back live on this Tuesday. We got news out of the CFL office. The players of the week: Toronto defensive back Jamal Peters, Saskatchewan receiver Kean Schiefer-Baker, and Calgary receiver Malik Henry have been named the CFL top performers for week 12. And some viewer comments. David Asplin in Winnipeg writes in. He says, I love how many Winnipeggers take in the RP show and then Winnipeg Sports Talk shows every week. Best 4 hours a day for sports coverage. I appreciate it too. Thank you so much. And I appreciate this guy joining us, Farhan Lalji from TSN, and appreciate the time, Farhan. Hey, I get it. This is how other players win Player of the Week in the CFL. Nathan Rourke needs to get hurt. That's the only other way that it can happen, sir.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. I think he's won it, 5 out of 8 weeks and then got the injury. So, yeah, it's certainly, if you're a BC Lions fan, you're now seeing how the other half lives, right? Because it shows you the importance of the quarterback position, because when you look at that BC Lions team, their receiving core 1 through 5, I felt was the best in the league for some time. You look at the offensive line, which I thought was going to get exposed without him, actually held up really well. Their defense has been great all season. Their kickers have been good. Their coverage teams have been horrendous. But ultimately, you need the quarterback to make it work. And they find out that without the quarterback, it doesn't work. So, you don't want to completely throw the baby out with the bathwater with a guy like Michael O'Connor. It was a tough first half. But, I still think that you got to reserve judgment and give him a little more runway, and hopefully he's available in a couple of weeks. But that team looks a whole lot different without Nathan Rourke.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was around the Flames the day after Johnny Gaudreau signed in Columbus, and it was like a funeral. I wonder, has it been like that around the Lions with the Nathan Rourke injury discovery? And do you know if he will be back ahead of schedule? What did that do to the team?
Well, the first week it didn't do much, to be truthful. I mean, I think they still believe they're a very good team. I think Michael O'Connor looked very good in practice. And, the vibe around that team was remarkably good. When you lose your best player, your MVP, I thought, okay, they're going to feel this. But I was at 2 practices that week, and their energy was off the charts. Now, how is it this week? Well, we don't know. They're on a bye, but now you've seen life without Nathan Rourke. And, that might be a cold, hard dose of reality at that point. So we'll see what it looks like when they begin practice again on Sunday. But as far as Nathan's injury is concerned, I know that the surgery went extremely well. Nothing happened in the surgery that could set him back. But the truth is that even with it going really well, it was still going to be a long shot for him to return. There were pins and plates put into the foot. They're going to wait and see in the next couple of weeks when they go in and take another look again as to what the real issues are at that point, and just kind of assess the recovery at that point. They won't really know until then, but look, it's going to be a real long shot for him to make it back this season.
I'm going to get in a viewer question for you before I ask you NFL, because I'd like to get to the NFL with you. But Don, a friend of ours from the Navy, Canadian Navy, says, does the CFL, Farhan, have a plan if their NCAA player pipeline is squeezed shut due to the XFL and USFL success?
I'm not sure that it's ever going to be squeezed shut. And there's a lot of football players out there, and I don't think both those leagues are going to survive, right? Like now, a lot of Canadians are willing to dismiss them both. I'm not. I do think the XFL is going to survive. I'm not going to suggest that all of a sudden it's going to rival the NFL, but it could be, as I've said before, MLS level successful. And, the CFL is going to have to compete with that. But I think there are good players out there. I think the league is established. That helps it. Hopefully they can get into a position where they can, pay a little bit more down the road. And certainly certain players are able to get more than whatever the XFL is going to give. The one thing about CFL players is that they don't really become good until they've been in this league for a while in most cases, whereas you're not going to get that level of sustainability in the XFL. People are going to be in and out of that league quick if they don't make it to the NFL, right? The big thing with the CFL right now, and I think the league is feeling it and they don't want to admit it, is the quarterback problem. And it's a problem, Rod. You've got Zach Caleros and Nathan Rourke and now maybe Jake Mayer. And after that, there's a whole lot of average in this league right now, like it or not. I know a lot of Saskatchewan fans won't like hearing that, but it's the truth. And it's the truth league-wide. So they've got to get quality quarterbacks in the front door, and they've got to commit to developing them, because what the Lions did this year is extremely rare. Yes, Nathan's the unicorn, but at some point, an organization had to sit back and say, we're going to risk something by developing and playing a young player and not just bring in retread after retread after retread, because we've got to win today. They've got to make some decisions as a league, and they've got to make every effort. And that's a collective, because you've got teams that have 10 quarterbacks apiece on their neg list. They're trying to stash these guys. That needs to stop. The best players need to be available to all the teams at that position to get into this league, because that's going to determine the success.
Well, I'm loving your analysis today. By the way, Terry Carrier in the chat says, wow, even this Rider fan loves that bomber helmet over your shoulder. That's a beaut, Farhan.
No, that's a University
do you want to tell him?
Huskies helmet.
I was going to say, do you want to tell him or should I?
It's a University of Washington Huskies helmet. I'm a U.S. college football guy. That's the College Football National Championship, Stanford shirt. I'm a college football guy. I love the CFL and the NFL, Don't get me wrong, but when people ask me their favorite, I go off the board and say U.S. college football.
I'll come back to that CFL quarterback carousel thing for the current guys in the league and how you think it shakes out. But what is your take on the unfortunate Chris Streveler situation the last 24, 48 hours?
Yeah, look, when it comes to quarterbacks in the NFL, decisions are made, right? There's very few quarterback battles, and that's just the way it is. I look at what's happened in places like Seattle and Pittsburgh and Carolina and other places, and you knew what was going to happen going in the front door with those quarterback positions. And when they pay a lot, they're going to play a lot. And that's just the way it is. So certainly they've made their decision with Zach Wilson. They've invested. That's the way it's going to be. They've got their veteran backup in Joe Flacco. That's the way it's going to be. Teams de-emphasize preseason more and more every year. They're down to 3 games. The starters play less and less. So it was a great story. Do I think Chris Streveler, based on his performance, should get an opportunity somewhere in the NFL? Sure. But don't look at that 3-game sample size and think he should start or, all of a sudden, that should happen for him. I hope for Chris's sake that he finds another landing spot, and I think he will, and somehow or another manufacture his 6th game so he can eventually get an NFL pension. But I will tell you this, at some point, he's going to be back in this league. Like that's just going to happen. This may have bought him a year. It may have gotten him his 6 games, but at some point, he's going to be back in this league. And those 3 preseason games are going to change the narrative in the CFL for Chris Streveler big time, because the majority of educated CFL fans have said, look, he was a backup, right? I don't know that he can take a CFL team over and be a franchise guy at all, right? Like, it doesn't matter that he's floated around the NFL for a couple years. But those 3 games will change that narrative. And when he comes to the CFL, he's going to be paid like a starter, and he's going to get a team that invests in him seriously.
Lapo has always said that he could be a pure passer. I didn't believe him. I had to see it. But he did it. And by the way, you've covered enough Super Bowls in NFL. Oh, would he ever? But here, the viewers were talking about the harshness of the NFL and how unfair it is what's happening to Streveler and stuff. That's all true. But I've been covering the NFL now for a year. Went to Super Bowl. You were there. The Dolphins game here Saturday night. They're so happy. What I sense about NFL people, they're so appreciative of being in the NFL. Yeah, it's a harsh reality and it's cold. But they sure seem to love it. People have been very nice. I'm sure you've experienced the same thing.
So are you talking about players or fans now?
Players, media, staff. No, the people that work in the NFL.
Yeah, you know what? It's a great league to cover. I enjoy it, and I've got nothing negative to say about the players or people associated with the teams I've covered. Certainly, never really enjoyed covering Bill Belichick, but that's an obvious one. But look, I will say this, and this is not to toot my Canadian horn or anything like that, but there is not a better league to cover than the CFL. That includes the National Hockey League. And the reason for that is these players are not entitled. They're one of us. They're part of the community. They're exceptional athletes, and they appreciate the coverage. So for me, the CFL is the best league to cover from that standpoint. But the NFL, compared to other American leagues, is by far the best. Like, if you give me the choice between covering the NFL, Major League Baseball, and NBA, and I've done all three, the NFL is head and shoulders above on every level, including the reasons you outlined, just the people to deal with and just how happy they are, right? Baseball players are a nightmare. Star basketball players, incredibly difficult. NFL players, awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Rich in Edmonton, this is the last one. He says, Farhan, will JT Miller be a Canuck at this time next year? Can I just tail that into an overall Canucks outlook as we move into the training camp here?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think there's going to have to be an end to this at some point. And from the Canucks, you don't want to see it end via free agency. I don't think they're going to get a deal done. I fully expect them to be there when training camp opens and play the majority of the season. And then, if all of a sudden this team's in a playoff spot, I don't know that they move on from him and they risk doing what Calgary did with Johnny Gaudreau, that you just walk him to the aisle and eventually he leaves, right? So I just don't think they can afford to pay him, knowing the other contracts that are due. The previous regime left this team in such a tough cap situation. You've got Elias Pedersen in another year. You got Bo Horvat this offseason as well. They've got contracts due, and they can't keep them all. So I think eventually JT Miller's going to go one way or the other. And as far as the team is concerned, I think this forward group that they've assembled, if you include JT Miller as a part of it, I think it's a pretty good group, right? I think it's a playoff-worthy group, and I think they've got playoff-worthy goaltending. Defensively, you got Quinn Hughes and maybe Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Tyler Myers, and you're kind of holding your breath a little bit after that, right? And even guys like Ekman-Larsson and Hughes are probably playing one pairing above. Sorry, not Hughes. Ekman-Larsson and Myers are probably playing one pairing above where they should be, based on what the underlying numbers would indicate they're best served. So, can they outscore a really ordinary defense? It's going to be tough, right? Because the one thing that defense showed last year, other than Quinn Hughes, was an inability to transition the puck up the ice and get it to the forward. So we'll see what it looks like. But, like I said, I like the forwards, I like the goaltending, and I like the top two defensemen.
Well, this goes far too fast every time. Farhan, thanks for the time, man. Keep up the great work. Enjoying it from down here, man. Hope to see you this fall.
All right, buddy. And I will be at the NFL season opener in Los Angeles. I know you're enjoying life in Florida, so we'll catch up soon.
Thanks, pal. The great Farhan Lalji from TSN. We'll be back with Viewer Takeover right after this. You are watching the RP Show on the Game Plus television network, available all across BC and Alberta on Telus Optic Cable, Manitoba on Bell MTS Cable, and Saskatchewan SaskTel Max, Ontario Cogeco, Rogers, and in Quebec, Rogers and Videotron, and Eastlink throughout the Maritimes. We're also live streaming at rodpeterson.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep.
A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
Mornings just got better at River Cree. For a limited time, enjoy a summer sunrise breakfast for just $1.99. Choose from 2 eggs any style, a breakfast sandwich, or pancakes. Finally, a delicious reason to wake up early. $1.99 breakfast daily at Tap 25 at the River Cree.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Landmark Extras Rewards members get $6.99 general admission tickets. Any movie, any showtime. August 26th to September 8th. Become an Extras member now at landmarkextras.com to get your $6.99 tickets and enjoy a more rewarding movie-going experience.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming at the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445. Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Here we go. It is overtime, a proud presentation of the Four Seasons Sports Palace, your home for the UFC and the National Football League, the number one league on the planet. Just checking the poll results here as we bring the Moose back in for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center. Who will win the NHL's Pacific Division this year? Now 46% on Twitter saying the Edmonton Oilers. 46% say Edmonton, 40% say Calgary, just 5% say Vancouver, and 9% say other. And a couple things here, Moose. How you doing, man? Did you enjoy the Farhan visit?
Yeah, I always enjoy when Farhan comes on. He's great.
What was your takeaway from it?
You know, lots. I mean, I still wonder, because he's on the West Coast, and my biggest thing, and Farhan's so ingrained in that Western Canada football culture, right? He coaches football, and that goes from Vancouver all the way down into Washington. I still wonder about the BC Lions, and I know he's so tapped into that market. I still wonder about their quarterback position and, what they're going to do moving forward and what that looks like. So I still am monitoring that very, very closely. And I know Farhan's going to be the guy that's going to be all over it.
By the way, Oleg he might be our rock star of the day today. Oleg in Winnipeg. Some great comments. Our rock star of the day yesterday was no doubt Mo Egger from ESPN 1530 Cincinnati. But Oleg writes in regarding NFL and scouting. We've been talking about that a lot today. It goes all the way back to Bruce Dowbiggin, who was with us in hour one with his book called Inexact Science, all about NHL drafting and looking at 6 years of crazy NHL drafts. Oleg, who always refers to himself in the third person, which drives me crazy, but he's clearly not changing now. He says, I'm going to change it to first person. He says, I'd scout like crazy for that one guy who the NFL scouts missed. Be a hero to find the next Kurt Warner. It's interesting he says that, because there's a lot of people that love the personnel game. But it wasn't just watching my dad for 26 years, who would often say, put his feet up and say, hey, I get paid to watch hockey. He never complained a second in his life. My brother Lee said, our dad did everything he wanted every day for his whole life. That was Dad. But what turned me off on scouting, because I had opportunities to scout, was Christmas Day. I don't know what year it was, but Les Jackson, you've heard me talk about Les Jackson many times over the years. He was my dad's boss, director of scouting for the Dallas Stars. It was minus 52, and Les was leaving our house in Milestone, Saskatchewan to go to the airport and fly to wherever, Finland, for the World Juniors. And I'm like, nope, he's one of the top cheeses. What are the lower rung guys doing? Nope. And then I did have an opportunity to be an agent, and I won't say with which agency, but they said we would start you out doing this. You'd be going to Bantam games and, you know, talking to Bantam age players and their families. I'm like, nope. If I can't beat Jerry Maguire, nope. So, but I respect those that do, because there's a lot that do. But is there anything in the game outside broadcasting that would tickle your fancy? Because I get people that want to scout. It's not as glamorous as you think.
I know it's not. You know, being a general manager would be a lot of fun. I think that'd be cool. But you're right. There's a lot of scouting, a lot of time on the road. That would be incredibly stressful. Coaching would be fun too. I think I could get into coaching, but it's a lot of time on the road too. So yeah, there's other areas, but we're in the best spot.
Of course. But the thing is, everybody like I've got people writing me going, where did you go to school? Johnny wants to do what you do. We've said this a lot of times. Johnny wants to broadcast from a patio in South Florida and go to the Dolphins game and sit in a luxury bar. Well, of course, who wouldn't? But do you want to, in high school, work in Weyburn Radio and work Friday nights and Saturday afternoons and Sunday mornings when all your buddies are out partying and chasing women and doing all that? No. Nobody wants to put... I was willing to do it because I love doing it. I don't know how many people want to do that. I didn't want to make those scouting road trips, so no. And didn't want to be hanging outside a Bantam hockey dressing room to talk to the player and his family. No. But God bless those that do, because there's a role for everybody, right, in this wonderful business of sport. All right, Moose, you enjoy yourself. You do whatever it is you do. And, folks, get your questions in a little earlier tomorrow, and we'll see what's up then.
Sounds good.
I lost the music. I can't hear anything. So we're out. Okay, goodbye, everybody. Good night.
A great day, Rod.
Who has more fun than us?
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. Hell yes.